Is Tank Smolder actually the best way to play him now? What about Lethality Jarvan? We've got these answers and so much more in today's video as we provide you guys with 10 of the most OP new builds and rune setups for patch 25.14. And did you know that each game you queue up with the wrong build is another game where you're playing with a self-imposed handicap and just throwing away LP? That's why we've worked tirelessly to create the ultimate ADC itemization course. While others blindly follow recommended builds, you'll be dynamically adapting your purchases for maximum impact in every situation. This isn't just theory. You'll get side-by-side damage comparisons of items so that you know exactly why one is better than the others. The course features 24 in-depth videos with each ADC getting their own complete analysis from which rush items are the best to what your later game purchases should look like. Wondering when to build lethality versus crit on misfortune? We break down the math with frame-by-frame comparisons. Is crit actually better than on-hit builds for Vayne? We have the answers. So why handicap yourself with cookie-cutter builds this season when you can be running the optimal setup on every single ADC? For access to this new course along with thousands of hours of additional premium content, click the link in the description below. And with that said, let's get into it. There's been a new Nasus setup going around recently that consists of a new build and rune page. First up for the build, instead of going for pure tank after rushing Trinity Force, what's been working really well is slotting in Sundered Sky second. Frozen Heart is the most common second purchase on Nasus, but when you think about it, the item really shouldn't be played at as high of a rate as it is. Frozen Heart is going to give you a mass amount of armor and will also provide the attack speed slow from its passive. If you're laning into a champion who deals majority magic damage or just a more magic damage heavy comp in general, you can go for Sundered Sky second and then Spirit Visage third to provide yourself with a ton of healing potential. The heal from Sundered Sky is going to be increased by 25% thanks to the Spirit Visage passive, and your extended skirmish is going to be absolutely deadly. So definitely look to try out this build in those games where the enemy team has more magic damage threats than physical damage. As for the rune page on Nasus, what's actually been working best recently is taking Unsealed Spellbook. Access to additional summoner spells is really nice for Nasus as the champ has no issues at all killing his targets as long as he can reach them. So if your ghost is on cooldown in the mid game but you have a swap available and can grab flash, exhaust, or heal, it's just going to make Nasus' skirmish so much more impactful. Top lane Rumble has been one of the weaker analytical performers in solo queue recently, but a lot of that is because players are just building him wrong. Most Rumble players continue to rush Liandry's, but ever since Liandry's got nerfed and Rocket Belt got buffed, you should be rushing Rocket Belt and then going for Liandry's as your second item. Over the past patch, Rumble players who rushed Rocket Belt were winning 51% of the time. However, Liandry's rush Rumble players were way down at 47.5%. That's a pretty big gap there, and it's literally a win rate difference between a C tier champ and an S tier champ. The active dash from Rocket Belt synergizes very well with Rumble because the only issue the champion has is getting in range of his targets. If Rumble is on top of his target, then he's guaranteed to deal a mass amount of damage from his Q, so Rocket Belt really helps to enable the champ. And then for Rumble's rune page, many players are also running the incorrect setup here. Majority of Rumble players take Resolve secondary, but Inspiration performs much better. What many high elo Rumble players are doing is they're taking Triple Tonic with Cosmic Insight. Triple Tonic, providing you the elixir at level 6, helps to amplify Rumble's all-in power as it offers 20 ability power, so that's having an extra amp tome for your all-in. A new Jarvan setup has started to become a lot more popular over the past patch, and it's a very offensive build. For the longest time, Eclipse with Sundered Sky was the cookie-cutter build for Jarvan, but now there's an alternative option consisting of Opportunity into Profane Hydra. So a lethality core for Jarvan, and what's really interesting about this build is that it's currently Jarvan's highest win rate setup. With over 23,000 games of lethality Jarvan, it's winning about 53% of the time as opposed to Eclipse Rush sitting at 51.8%. So there's definitely great viability to this lethality build, but should you be running it in every single game? It's really going to come down to what the enemy team comp is looking like. If they are majority squishy, or if the main targets you will be needing to take out in fights are squishy, then going for lethality is going to work great. If the enemy comp is a lot more tanky though, let's say they have a Galio mid with Ornn top and Rammus jungle, it's going to be much more difficult to make lethality work there because if you dive in and can't one-shot any of them, you're just going to get CC'd and die instantly without being of much use to your team. So in the right spots, the build is great, but it's not a setup you will want to spam in every single game. Standard rune page for Jarvan revolves around Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace, while Free Boots and Cosmic Insight are for secondaries. There's a new Udyr build that has surfaced over the past patch, and it's completely different from what we're used to seeing. Instead of taking Liandry's as a core item, you are bypassing it entirely and going for a Spear of Shojin Rush. With Liandry's getting nerfed back in 25.10, it has given indirect rise to a Shojin Rush, and most Udyr players are sleeping on it right now. After going for Shojin, you pick up Riftmaker second, and this 2-item core has great synergy on Udyr. Udyr is a jungler who wants those longer drawn-out extended fights, and this 2-item core is perfectly built for that. Shojin and Riftmaker both have passives that provide you with more strength the longer a fight lasts, so it's actually kind of surprising a build like this has not been meta on on Udyr before. The rune page to grab with this build is Conqueror, followed by Triumph, Haste, and Last Stand, while Free Boots and Approach Velocity are for secondaries. It's no secret how powerful melee support champions are with Unsealed Spellbook right now, but there's a specific mid lane champ who's finding a ton of success as well. Zoe with Spellbook is highly underrated right now, and it makes a ton of sense as to why she's been overperforming with the rune. Zoe actually gains more value from Spellbook than all other champs because of her W. Whenever you use a summoner spell with Zoe, your W is going to deal damage, so access to summoner spells more often is not only going to make Zoe safer in fights, but she'll be outputting additional damage as well. So this is what the complete rune page is looking like as you grab Spellbook with Cashback, Triple Tonic, and Jack of all trades, followed by Nimbus Cloak and Celerity for secondaries. The best build for Zoe revolves around Eluden's Rush into Lichbane 2nd and Rabadon's 3rd. There's a new Bruiser Aurora build that has been gaining in popularity lately, and it involves taking Bloodletter's Curse as a core item. For quite a while now, the most common build on Aurora has consisted of Ludens into Shadowflame, but a more durable core of Liandry's into Bloodletters and Riftmaker has been picking up steam. This core is the most popular version of the Bruiser Aurora build, but a slight adjustment that we think makes the build even better is going for Riftmaker 2nd and then Bloodletters 3rd. The thing about Bloodletters is that it gives you % magic resist reduction. This means the longer games last and the more the enemies gain in levels and have additional magic resist from base stats or items, the more value you get out of the Bloodletters passive. So if you go for Bloodletters as a second item, the passive won't be doing a whole lot for you at this stage in the game due to the enemy's magic resist being lower, which is why we think picking up Riftmaker 2nd is the better play. The stats back this up as well, with Riftmaker 2nd winning about 2% more. So the whole idea behind this build is that you gain a ton of durability and extended fight strength that allows Aurora to play as much more of a disruptor in fights, sticking in there and just being really annoying with her consistent damage from Q. Build is much more forgiving than the standard Aurora build because you're way more tanky, so you're able to make slight positional errors and not get blown up right away. So if you are newer to Aurora, this is definitely the build to run. With that said, it's not like the build is bad for experienced Aurora players though, as pros are literally spamming this setup right now on the champ. So Smolder is a champion that if he can reach his 225 stacks and stay alive over the course of an extended fight, he's going to be quite impactful. The only issue a lot of the time is being more vulnerable to heavy dive. So what pro player Reptile has been doing on his Smolder and solo queue is running a full-out bruiser build. It's not just Spear of Shojin that he's taking, as that's been pretty standard on Smolder in the past. You're doubling down here and grabbing Overlord's Bloodmail 2nd and Black Cleaver 3rd. So a heavy health stacking build that synergizes quite well together because Overlord's passive converts 2.5% of your bonus health into attack damage. This build provides 1400 bonus health, so that means the Overlord's passive will be giving you 35 additional attack damage. So this build is going to work best for you in games where the enemy team has a lot of burst damage. If there's an assassin mid and jungle on the enemy team, then opting for this tank build is going to give you a much better chance of being impactful throughout the game. If the enemy comp is more tanky though and lacks that burst power, just going for standard crit is still going to work really well though. To make the build even better, what you can do with your rune page is take Resolve secondary and run Overgrowth. Overgrowth gives you additional health, so that will then convert into bonus AD once you get Overlords. An item that has been slept on for such a long time that gets even better for 25.14 is Phantom Dancer, and you need to be running it on your Jinx. For the longest time, Phantom Dancer has always had the highest win rate as Jinx's 3rd purchase, but it's just never been very popular. With the movement speed on the item going up for this patch and attack speed being increased as well, there's way more incentive to build Phantom Dancer, and you should not be ignoring it. With the movement speed now at 10% on Phantom Dancer, that's 6% higher than what you're getting on Hurricane. So if you're playing into an enemy comp who has more squishy dive champions, there's absolutely no reason to be building Hurricane over Phantom Dancer. Hurricane is going to be the most valuable in games where the enemy comp is more tanky and they have a bunch of bruiser or tank melee champs. If the enemy comp is majority assassin or longer range, then you'll be getting way less value out of the Hurricane bolts in fights. Additional movement speed is also really great to have into more squishy dive champs because it will help you kite away easier and position better in fights. So the core build you should not be sleeping on in 25.14 for Jinx consists of a Yuntal Rush into Infinity Edge 2nd and Phantom Dancer 3rd. Standard rune page consists of Lethal Tempo with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Cut Down, followed by Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for secondaries. A build that has been slowly gaining in popularity over the past few patches revolves around rushing Ardent Censor on Janna. We've seen the play rate of Ardent Rush double from the span of 25.9 to 25.13, and it's currently got the highest win rate for any rush item on her. Ardent Rush is still very underrated though overall, being played by 10% of Janna players. The passive from Ardent is going to provide you and your teammate with 25% attack speed and 20 bonus magic damage on hit whenever you shield them. For most enchanters, this boost in on-hit damage is kind of a waste because a lot of them don't want to be auto-attacking super frequently in fights. Well, with Janna, she actually wants to auto-attack a lot more than other enchanters due to her passive. Janna's passive provides her with bonus magic damage on hit that scales off of her movement speed. So by going for Boots' swiftness and rushing Ardent, you can take advantage of the Ardent passive much better than other enchanters due to the fact your autos deal a significant amount of damage. Second item in this build is Redemption, and it has really great synergy with Ardent because if you proc the Redemption heal on all of your teammates in a fight, then every single one of them will be given the Ardent passive boost. For the rune page with this build, look to grab Glacial Augment, Free Boots, Biscuits, and Jack of all Trades for primaries, and then Font of Life and Revitalize are for secondaries. Unsealed Spellbook has become quite popular on a lot of melee supports, but one ranged support who's very underrated with the rune is Morgana. Even though Morgana is a ranged support, she needs to play up close in fights to be effective, so more access to summoner spells really helps her stay alive in skirmishes. Whatever you swap to on Morg, you're going to be able to find some sort of value. Most other ranged supports just wouldn't get a ton of reliable use out of spells like Cleanse or Ignite if they are sitting back further in fights, but because Morgana needs to be up in the thick of things to land her R, she's going to find value out of every single swap she makes. So this is what the rune page will be looking like as you grab Spellbook with Cashback, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight, followed by Mana Flow and Transcendence for secondaries. As for the build on Morgana, Realm Spike is the item upgrade, followed by Leandries and Zanya's is standard stuff. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So there you have it everyone, those are 10 of the most OP new builds and rune setups that you can run for 25.14. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you back soon.